Captain Daeho Kim stared at the three massive ships drifting into Earth's solar system. They looked like they were barely holding together. Metal plates hung loose from their hulls, and strange blue lights flickered on and off across their surfaces. These ships were nothing like anything Earth had ever seen before. "Sir, they're not responding to our signals," said Lieutenant Young-soo at the communications station. "Wait, I'm getting something now." The main screen lit up with the face of a creature that looked almost human but not quite. Her skin was silver blue and her limbs were longer than any human's. Her eyes were large and tired, filled with something that looked like desperate hope. "I am ship leader Hana of the Valani fleet," she said through the universal translator. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of someone who had seen too much suffering. "We come seeking sanctuary. We mean no harm to your people." Daeho had been a space captain for 15 years, but he had never dealt with aliens before. Earth had only recently learned that other intelligent life existed in the galaxy. Now here they were, three huge ships full of beings asking for help. "This is Captain Kim of the Earth Defense Fleet," he replied carefully. "What kind of sanctuary are you seeking?" Hana's face showed relief that someone was actually talking to her. "We are refugees, Captain Kim. We have been traveling for many months, searching for a world that will accept us. Every other species in the galaxy has turned us away. Our ships are failing and our people are dying." On the bridge of Earth's command station, Admiral Woo Jin Park watched the conversation with growing concern. His aide, Commander Jiwoo Nam, stood beside him with a worried expression. "Admiral, our sensors show nearly 50,000 life forms on those ships," Jiwoo reported. "Many of them appear to be children." Woo Jin felt his heart sink. 50,000 refugees, and Earth barely had the resources to support its own growing space colonies. But the thought of children suffering in those failing ships made his decision difficult. "What happened to your people?" Daeho asked Hana over the communication link. Hana's expression grew dark. "We were cast out by the Galactic Council. They declared us too dangerous to exist among civilized species. But Captain Kim, we are not dangerous. We are simply different. And that difference made others fear us." Dr. So-Young Lee, Earth's top expert on alien biology, studied the scans of the Valani ships from her laboratory. What she saw made her frown with confusion. The beings on those ships showed signs of artificial enhancement, metal implants, genetic modifications, biological changes that were clearly not natural. "These people have been experimented on," she told Admiral Woo Jin over the secure channel. "Someone has done terrible things to them. The modifications are extensive but crude, like whoever did this didn't care about their suffering." President Min-ho Choi sat in his office on Earth, listening to reports from space. The decision before him was enormous. Earth had only recently joined the galactic community, and they were still learning the rules. Taking in refugees that every other species had rejected could make Earth enemies across the galaxy. But as he looked at the images of the failing Valani ships, he remembered why humanity had always been different. They had a history of helping those who needed it most, even when it was dangerous. "Mr. President," his advisor Sang Min-yu said urgently, "we don't know anything about these creatures. They could be criminals, terrorists, or worse. The entire galaxy has rejected them for a reason." Min-ho studied the face of ship leader Hana on his screen. She looked exhausted and desperate, but there was something honest in her eyes, something that reminded him of human refugees throughout history. People who had fled war and persecution only to find closed doors everywhere they went. Back in space, Captain Daeho continued his conversation with Hana. "You say you're not dangerous, but you must understand our position. Earth is new to galactic politics. We can't afford to make enemies." "I understand your caution, Captain," Hana replied. "But I ask you to look at our ships, truly look at them. Do we appear to be a threat? We have children who have never known a stable home. We have elderly who remember what it was like before we became outcasts. We have skilled workers, teachers, artists, and dreamers. We are people, Captain Kim, not monsters." Dr. So-Young's analysis continued to reveal disturbing details. The Valani had been subjected to cybernetic implants that allowed them to interface directly with technology. Their muscles had been enhanced, their healing accelerated, their very DNA altered. But the modifications were failing. Without proper medical care, these people would die within decades. "Admiral," So-Young reported to Woo Jin, "whatever was done to these people, it's killing them. The enhancements are breaking down their natural biology. They need help, not imprisonment." Admiral Woo Jin found himself thinking about his own grandfather. who had fled war on Earth decades ago. His family had been turned away by country after country before finally finding safety. Now Earth faced the same choice those countries had faced. "Captain Kim," came President Minho's voice over the secure channel. "Bring their leader to the station for face-to-face talks. If we're going to make this decision, I want to look them in the eye." Hours later, ship leader Hana stood in the docking bay of Earth's space station. She was taller than any human, her silver-blue skin almost glowing under the station's lights. But when she spoke, her voice carried the same hopes and fears that any human refugee might have. "President Choi," she said, bowing slightly in what appeared to be a gesture of respect, "I thank you for this chance to speak. My people have traveled so far, been rejected by so many. We have almost given up hope." Minho looked at this alien being and saw something he recognized. He saw a mother worried about her children, a leader responsible for her people, a person who had run out of options but refused to give up. "Tell me honestly," he said, "why does the galaxy fear you?" Hana's face showed pain. "Because we are living reminders of their greatest shame, Mr. President. We are proof of what they are capable of when they think no one is watching. But that is a story for another time, if you choose to trust us with that time." President Minho Choi made his decision. It went against the advice of many of his counselors, against the safe political choice, against the easy path, but it was the human choice. "Earth will take you in," he said simply. "All of you." For the first time since arriving in the Sol system, ship leader Hana smiled. It was a beautiful smile, full of relief and gratitude and hope. Behind her, through the docking bay windows, her people's ships waited in the darkness of space, no longer alone. 3 months had passed since the Volani ships arrived at Earth. The refugees had been settled on Luna Base and several orbital stations, slowly learning to live alongside humans. But Commander Jiwoo Nam couldn't shake the feeling that something important was being hidden from them. The Volani were helpful, grateful, and peaceful. They worked hard to contribute to their new communities. Their children played with human children, and their adults shared knowledge freely. But whenever anyone asked about their past, about why they had been exiled, the Volani became quiet and changed the subject. Jiwoo decided to investigate. As head of Earth intelligence, it was his job to protect humanity from threats, even threats that looked like friends. He started with the oldest Volani refugee, an elderly being called Elder Kyung-soo. Kyung-soo lived quietly in a small apartment on Luna Base. His silver-blue skin was wrinkled with age, and his cybernetic implants were more visible than those of younger Volani. When Jiwoo visited him, the old alien was tending to a small garden of earth plants that human neighbors had given him. "Commander Nam," Kyung-soo said, his English improving every day, "what brings you to visit an old refugee?" "I want to understand your people better," Jiwoo said honestly. "Everyone asks about your past, but no one gets real answers." "I think there's something you're afraid to tell us." Kyung-soo's large eyes studied Jiwoo for a long moment. Then he gestured for the human to sit down. "You're right, Commander. We have not told you everything, but our silence comes from shame, not deception." "What kind of shame?" The old Volani was quiet for several minutes. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with old pain. "We were not always as you see us now. 200 years ago, we were a peaceful people. We traded across the galaxy, sharing our knowledge of bioengineering and living technology. We were trusted, respected, welcome everywhere." Jiwoo waited patiently for Kyung-soo to continue. "Then the Hegemony Alliance came to our worlds. They said they needed our help with a research project, something that would benefit all species in the galaxy. We believed them." Kyung-soo's hands shook slightly. "We were fools. What did they want? They wanted to create perfect soldiers," Kyung-soo said bitterly. "Beings who could heal from any wound, interface with any technology, fight without fear or doubt. They called it Evolution's Edge. They said volunteers would be honored heroes." Jiwoo felt a chill run down his spine. "But you weren't volunteers." "Not after the first group," Kyung-soo confirmed. "When the volunteers realized what was being done to them, when they tried to leave, the hegemony showed their true nature. They took us by force. Entire cities captured and brought to laboratory ships hidden in dead space." The old alien rolled up his sleeve, showing the cybernetic implants that ran along his arm like silver veins. "They changed us, Commander Nam. Our bodies, our minds, our very essence. They made us stronger, faster, able to heal wounds that would kill normal beings. They gave us the ability to connect with machines as if they were part of our bodies. How many of you were there? Millions, Kyung-soo whispered. Millions of Villani taken from our worlds and changed into weapons. The experiments went on for decades. Many died, many more went mad, but some of us, we kept our minds. We remembered who we were before. Jiwoo could barely believe what he was hearing. What happened then? We escaped, Kyung-soo said with quiet pride. It took 50 years of planning, but we finally broke free from the laboratory ships. We thought we would return home, that our people would welcome us back. But they didn't. Kyung-soo shook his head sadly. Our own people were afraid of us. We looked different, moved differently, could do things that seemed impossible, and the hegemony had spread stories about us. They said we were dangerous bioweapons that had broken free. They convinced the galaxy that we were a threat to all civilized life. Jiwoo was beginning to understand. So you were exiled. By everyone, Kyung-soo confirmed. Even our own families rejected us. The Galactic Council declared us incompatible with civilized society. For 150 years, we have wandered the galaxy begging for a place to live, watching our people die slowly as the modifications break down our natural biology. That evening, Jiwoo brought Dr. So-young Lee and Dr. Bo-Ra Shin to meet with Elder Kyung-soo. The two scientists listened in horror as the old Villani repeated his story, providing more details about the experiments that had been performed on his people. The cybernetic implants are integrated with their nervous systems, Bora explained later to Admiral Woojin Park. It's incredible technology, but it's also slowly poisoning them. Without the proper medical support that the hegemony has, they'll all be dead within 50 years. Can we help them? Woojin asked. We can try, So-young said. But we'll need to understand the technology better. We'll need Villani volunteers willing to let us study the implants. Within days, every adult Villani had volunteered. They lined up outside the medical centers, eager to help Earth scientists understand their condition. Many of them had never dared to hope that someone might try to save them. Working alongside tech adept Moonsick, one of the Villani's brightest scientists, Dr. Bo-Ra began to unravel the complex biotechnology that had been forced upon the refugees. What she found was both amazing and terrible. They didn't just enhance them, she told General In-soo Kang during a security briefing. They turned them into living computers. These people can hack into almost any system just by touching it. They can coordinate their actions across vast distances using their implants. In the right circumstances, they could probably take control of entire fleets. In-soo felt a chill. No wonder the galaxy is afraid of them. But General, Bora continued, they're also dying. The people who did this to them built in a kill switch. Without regular medical treatments using specific technology, their enhanced biology will eventually shut down. Where is this technology? Controlled by the Hegemony Alliance. They made sure that the Villani would always be dependent on them, even after they escaped. In-soo understood immediately. The Hegemony had created the perfect weapon, then made sure that weapon could never be turned against them permanently. But they hadn't counted on someone like Earth deciding to help. President Min-ho Choi called an emergency meeting of Earth's leadership. In the secure conference room, he listened as Jiwoo, the doctors, and military leaders explained what they had learned. So we're harboring refugees from the galaxy's most powerful alliance. Min-ho said slowly. Refugees who were created as living weapons who every other species fears, and who will die without medical technology that only their enemies possess. That's correct. Mr. President, Jiwoo confirmed. Min-ho looked around the room at his advisors. Some looked frightened, others angry. A few seemed excited by the challenge, but all of them were waiting for his decision. Then we'd better get to work, Min-ho said firmly. If the hegemony thinks they can create people and then abandon them to die, they're about to learn something about humanity. We don't abandon our friends. General In-soo cleared his throat. Mr. President, we should prepare for the possibility that the hegemony won't appreciate our interference. I'm counting on it, Min-ho replied. If they're willing to do this to an entire species, then maybe it's time someone stood up to them. In his small apartment on Luna Base, Elder Kyung-soo felt something he hadn't experienced in over a century. For the first time since the laboratory ships, he felt hope that his people might actually survive. And more than that, he felt hope that they might finally find justice for what had been done to them. Earth had taken them in when no one else would. Now Earth was promising to fight for them. Kyung-soo smiled as he tended his small garden, thinking that perhaps the hegemony had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Engineer Young-ho Lee had never worked with living technology before, but shipwright Sunja was patient with his questions. The Vellani woman showed him how their bio-integrated systems grew rather than being built, how they could repair themselves and adapt to new situations. "Your human technology is impressive," Sunja said as they worked together in the orbital shipyard. "So rigid, so precise. But our technology is alive. Watch." She placed her hand on a damaged section of hull from one of the Vellani ships. The cybernetic implants in her arm glowed softly, and Young-ho watched in amazement as the metal began to reshape itself, filling in cracks and smoothing out dents. "Incredible," Young-ho breathed. "It's like the ship is healing itself." "In a way it is," Sunja replied. "This is what we were before the modifications, before the laboratory ships. We understood that technology and biology could work together naturally, without force. Their collaboration was producing amazing results. Human engineering precision combined with Vellani biointegration was creating ships that were both incredibly tough and remarkably efficient. But more importantly, Young-ho and Sunja were becoming friends, proving that the two species could work together as equals. On Luna Base, teacher Yoonji Park was discovering that human and Vellani children learned differently, but they learned well together. Her classroom was filled with the sounds of laughter and discovery as young minds from two species explored new ideas. Subin Kim, a 10-year-old human girl whose parents had died in a space accident, sat next to Tae-young, a Vellani boy about the same age. Tae-young's cybernetic implants let him communicate directly with the classroom computers, which fascinated Subin. "Can you talk to any machine?" Subin asked during recess. Tae-young nodded, his large eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Most of them. But it's not really talking. It's more like sharing thoughts. It's hard to explain in words. That's amazing. I wish I could do that." "I wish I could draw like you do," Tae-young replied, looking at Subin's artwork on the wall. "My implants make me understand technology, but they don't help with creativity." Yoonji watched their friendship develop with joy. These children didn't see differences as barriers. They saw them as opportunities to learn something new. But not all of Earth was embracing the Vellani refugees. Director Sang-min Yu had been against accepting them from the beginning, and his opposition was growing stronger as more humans began volunteering for Vellani bio-augmentation procedures. "This is contamination," Yu declared at a heated public meeting. "We're allowing alien technology to infect human bodies. We're changing what it means to be human." Dr. Bora Shin, who had volunteered for limited cybernetic enhancement to better understand Vellani biology, tried to explain. "The modifications are voluntary, carefully controlled, and completely reversible. We're not changing human nature. We're expanding human capability. Today it's voluntary," Yu shot back. "Tomorrow it will be mandatory. These creatures are changing us, making us like them. Soon we won't be human at all." His words found support among humans who feared change, who worried about losing their identity in the face of alien influence. The fear was understandable, but it was also dangerous. Captain Dae-ho Kim had worked closely with Defense Leader Hana for months now, planning Earth's defenses and learning about Vellani military capabilities. He had volunteered for basic neural interface implants that allowed him to communicate directly with Vellani command systems. "The enhancement process is remarkable," he told Admiral Woojin Park. "I can coordinate with our entire fleet through direct thought. Response times are cut in half and tactical awareness is incredible." "Any negative effects?" Woojin asked. "None so far. The implants integrate smoothly with human neurology. If anything, I feel more human than before, not less. I can think more clearly, react more quickly, but my emotions and judgment remain completely my own." But Daeho's success only made Sang-min Yu more determined to stop what he saw as alien corruption of humanity. He began gathering supporters, people who believed that Earth had made a terrible mistake in accepting the Vellani. The crisis came when Yu's faction attempted to seize control of Earth's government. They stormed several key facilities on Earth and Luna Base, claiming they were saving humanity from alien influence. "We will not allow these bioweapons to corrupt our species," Yu declared as his followers occupied the main communications center. Earth must remain human. But Yu had made a crucial mistake. He had underestimated how deeply humans and Villani had bonded over the past months. When his forces attacked, they found themselves facing not just Villani defenders but humans fighting alongside them. Dai-Ho and Hana coordinated the defense from the orbital command center. Their enhanced communication systems allowed them to respond to Yu's attacks with incredible speed and precision. But what impressed Hana most was how many humans chose to stand with the Villani, even at great personal risk. "Your people surprise me," Hana told Dai-Ho as they watched human and Villani security forces work together to retake the occupied facilities. "Many species would have abandoned us at the first sign of trouble. Many humans probably would have a few months ago," Dai-Ho replied honestly. "But we've gotten to know you now. You're not aliens to us anymore. You're neighbors, friends, family." The battle was brief but decisive. Yu's faction found that they couldn't compete with the combined capabilities of human determination and Villani technology. More importantly, they discovered that most of Earth's population supported the integration. Young Soo-Bin Kim and her friend Tae-Young had been evacuated to safety during the fighting, but they watched the news broadcasts together. When Yu's forces surrendered, Soo-Bin hugged her Villani friend tightly. "I was scared they would make you leave," she admitted. "I was scared too," Tae-Young replied. "But your people protected us. Even though some humans don't like us, most of them do. Not just like," Soo-Bin corrected. "We love you. You're part of our family now." The failed coup had an unexpected consequence. During the investigation, Earth's long-range sensors detected massive fleets moving through distant space, heading toward the Sol system. The Hegemony Alliance had been watching Earth's integration with the Villani, and they were not pleased. "Fleet movements suggest a force of over 3,000 ships," reported Commander Ji Woo-nam during the emergency briefing. "Multiple species, heavily armed and moving directly toward us." President Min-ho Choi felt the weight of his decision to accept the Villani refugees. By protecting them, Earth had made enemies of the galaxy's most powerful alliance. But as he looked around the room at the human and Villani officers working together, he felt no regret. "How long until they arrive?" he asked. "Approximately 6 weeks, Mr. President." Min-ho nodded grimly. "Then we have 6 weeks to prepare. Admiral Park, begin defensive preparations." "Commander Nam, I want to know everything about hegemony tactics and capabilities." "Dr. Shin, continue your work on enhancing our defensive systems." He turned to Hana, who had become not just a refugee leader but a trusted advisor. "Defense leader Hana, your people know the hegemony better than anyone. What can you tell us about their weaknesses?" Hana's expression was serious but determined. "They are powerful, Mr. President, but they have one great weakness. They believe that might makes right, that superior force can solve any problem. They have never faced an enemy that refused to surrender despite overwhelming odds." "You mean they've never faced humans?" Min-ho said with a slight smile. "Exactly," Hana replied. "And they have certainly never faced humans and Villani working together. We will show them that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost." In the weeks that followed, Earth's defensive preparations took on an urgent pace. Human industrial capacity combined with Villani biotechnology to create weapons and defenses unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. More importantly, the two species were learning to fight as one, their different capabilities complementing each other perfectly. Elder Kyung-soo, despite his age, volunteered to help with the preparations. As he worked alongside human engineers, he reflected on how much had changed. For the first time in 2 centuries, the Villani were not alone. They had found a species willing to stand with them against the galaxy's greatest power. The hegemony was coming, but Earth was ready. And this time the outcasts would not run. The hegemony fleet arrived exactly when Earth sensors had predicted. Admiral Woo-jin Park stood on the bridge of humanity's command station, watching as over 3,000 alien warships took positions throughout the outer solar system. The sight was terrifying and magnificent at the same time. "My God," whispered Captain Dai-Ho Kim as he studied the tactical display. "I've never seen so many ships in one place." The fleet represented 7 different species, all united under the Hegemony Alliance's banner. Massive dreadnoughts floated alongside sleek cruisers and countless smaller vessels. Their combined firepower could destroy planets, and they had come to demand the return of 50,000 Villani refugees. "Incoming transmission," announced Lieutenant Young-soo from the communication station, the main screen, filled with the image of a being that looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. Its scales were black and gold, and its multiple eyes regarded the humans with obvious contempt. This was Supreme Admiral Korak of the Zelani Empire, the hegemony's military commander. Primitive humans of the third planet, Korak spoke through the universal translator, his voice dripping with arrogance. I am Supreme Admiral Korak, representing the combined might of the Hegemony Alliance. You have something that belongs to us. Admiral Wu Jin stepped forward, his voice calm despite the overwhelming odds. This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. The beings you refer to are refugees under Earth's protection. They belong to no one but themselves. Korak's laugh was like the sound of grinding metal. Refugees? These creatures are bioweapons, created by the Alliance for the security of civilized space. They escaped from lawful containment and have contaminated your primitive society with dangerous technology. That's not how we see it, Wu Jin replied firmly. How you see it is irrelevant, Korak snarled. You will return the bioweapons immediately, or your system will be classified as a rogue territory and face complete annihilation. You have 72 hours to comply. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Everyone understood the message clearly. Surrender the Villani or watch Earth burn. President Min Ho Choi's response was swift and characteristic of humanity's stubborn nature. Within an hour, every major news network in the Sol system broadcast his reply to the Hegemony Fleet. To Supreme Admiral Korak and the Hegemony Alliance, Min Ho said, standing straight and proud despite the 3,000 warships aimed at his home, Earth's answer is simple. The Villani are not weapons. They are not property. They are our friends, our neighbors, our family, and we don't abandon family. The President's words reached not just the Hegemony Fleet, but every inhabited world in the galaxy through quantum communication networks. For the first time, someone had openly defied the Alliance's power. In the command center on Luna Base, Strategic Coordinator Hyunwoo Jang worked frantically with Battle Sage Kyungmin to prepare Earth's impossible defense. Earth's entire fleet numbered barely 200 ships against the Hegemony's thousands. We can't win a direct battle, Hyunwoo said bluntly. Even with Villani technology, we're outnumbered 15-1. Kyungmin, one of the few Villani who remembered the Alliance's military tactics from the old days, studied the fleet positions carefully. Perhaps we don't need to win, Coordinator Jang. Perhaps we only need to survive long enough. Long enough for what? Long enough for the galaxy to see that the hegemony can be resisted, Kyungmin replied. Fear has kept the Alliance in power for centuries. But if one small world can stand against them even briefly, others might find their courage. During the tense 72-hour countdown, Tech Master Mi Young revealed something that could change everything. The Villani's forced cybernetic modifications included deep knowledge of hegemony technology and communication systems. With this knowledge, they could potentially hack into enemy ships and turn the Alliance's own weapons against them. But there's a cost, Mi Young explained to the assembled Earth and Villani leadership. Using the implants at that level will accelerate our genetic degradation. Many of us will die within days instead of years. Dr. So-Young Lee and her medical team had been working around the clock to develop protective treatments that might help the Villani survive the process. But the technology was complex and time was running out. We need volunteers, Mi Young continued. Every adult Villani would need to participate to have any chance of success. The response was immediate and universal. Every single adult Villani volunteer stepped forward without hesitation. This is our fight too, declared Defense Leader Hana. Earth gave us a home when no one else would. Now we give everything to defend that home. Elder Kyungsoo, despite his advanced age, insisted on joining the cyber warfare unit. I have seen what the hegemony is capable of, he told Dr. Borashin. If my death can help stop them, then it is a good death. Captain Daeho Kim felt the weight of command as he prepared for what might be humanity's last battle. His ship, the newly completed EDS Unity, represented the best of human and Villani technology working together. But even this marvel of engineering was just one ship against thousands. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a message from Captain Young-Ho Lee. He's requesting permission to attempt a capture mission against the Hegemony command ship. Daeho studied the tactical situation. A small strike force might be able to penetrate the enemy formation and capture valuable intelligence, but it would be a suicide mission. Tell Captain Lee his request is approved. And tell him Tell him Earth is proud of him. As the 72-hour deadline approached, Earth received an unexpected transmission. It came from the edge of the galaxy, from species that had long been silent under hegemony rule. "People of Earth," said a being whose image was distorted by the long-distance transmission, "we are the Free Worlds Coalition. For too long we have submitted to the Alliance's tyranny. Your courage has inspired us to act. Fleets are rising across the galaxy. You are not alone." The message was followed by dozens of others. Species that had been conquered, enslaved, or oppressed by the hegemony were finally finding their voice. Earth's defiance had lit a spark that was spreading across the stars. Supreme Admiral Korak received these reports with growing anger. The bioweapon crisis was turning into a galaxy-wide rebellion, and it was all because one primitive species refused to surrender 50,000 refugees. "Bring me casualty projections for a full planetary bombardment," he ordered his tactical staff. "If these humans want to protect bioweapons, they can die with them." On Earth, families said goodbye to loved ones who were heading to the defense stations. Subin Kim hugged her friend Tae-young tightly, both children understanding that this might be the last time they saw each other. "Promise me you'll be careful," Subin whispered. "I promise," Tae-young replied. "And promise me that if something happens, you'll remember that we were friends, that humans and Villani can care about each other." "I'll remember," Subin said through her tears. "Everyone will remember." As the final hour approached, President Min-ho Choi stood before the assembled defenders on Luna Base. Humans and Villani stood together, ready to face impossible odds for the simple principle that everyone deserved protection. "Today, we face an enemy that believes might makes right," Min-ho said, his voice carrying to every ship and station in the Sol system. "They believe that because they are stronger, they can take what they want, destroy what they fear, and rule through terror." He paused, looking at the faces of humans and Villani who had chosen to stand together despite the cost. They're about to learn something about humanity that the galaxy has never seen before. They're about to learn that some things are worth dying for, and today we're going to teach them that some things are worth living for too. The countdown reached 0. The Battle of Sol was about to begin. In the depths of space, 3,000 hegemony warships began their advance toward Earth. They expected to face a primitive world that would quickly surrender when faced with overwhelming force. Instead, they were about to encounter something the galaxy had never seen: humans and aliens fighting as one, willing to sacrifice everything for the simple belief that everyone deserved a home. The Battle of Sol began with a massive barrage from the hegemony fleet. Thousands of energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward Earth's outer defenses. The sight was like watching a storm of fire roll across the darkness. Admiral Woo Jin Park commanded the human fleet from the bridge of the EDS Defender, while War Coordinator Hana led the Villani cyber warfare units from the heavily shielded command center on Luna Base. The two forces worked together with a coordination that surprised even themselves. "First wave incoming," reported Captain Daeho Kim from his position near Jupiter's orbit. "Enemy dreadnoughts are focusing their fire on the outer defense platforms." "Acknowledged," Woo Jin replied. "All ships execute Defense Pattern Alpha. Show them what Earth engineering can do." Earth ships moved with precision that impressed the watching hegemony forces. Human tactical planning combined with Villani biotechnology had created vessels that could repair battle damage in real time and coordinate their actions through direct neural links between their crews. But the real surprise came when the Villani cyber warfare began. CyberSage, One-Sick and his team of volunteer hackers activated their cybernetic implants to maximum power. The pain was immediate and terrible, but they pushed through it. Their consciousness expanded across space, reaching into the electronic systems of the hegemony fleet. "We're in," One-Sick reported through gritted teeth. "Beginning system infiltration now." Commander Ji Woo-nam watched in amazement as the tactical display showed hegemony ships suddenly turning their weapons on each other. Entire squadrons found their navigation systems compromised, their weapons targeting their own allies instead of Earth's defenders. "Incredible," Ji Woo breathed. "They're turning half the enemy fleet against the other half." But the cost was terrible. On Luna Base, Dr. Bo Ra-shin and healer scientist Dong Hyun worked desperately in the medical centers as Villani cyber warriors began collapsing from the strain. The cybernetic overload was killing them, but they refused to stop. "We need more time," Bora called out as another Villani was brought in, his implants sparking and smoking. The protective treatments aren't ready yet. Keep working, Elder Kyung-soo replied weakly from his cyber warfare station. His ancient body was failing under the strain, but his mind remained focused on the enemy systems he was infiltrating. We knew the cost when we began. Our sacrifice must mean something. Supreme Admiral Korak watched in fury as his perfectly organized fleet descended into chaos. Ship after ship reported system failures, friendly fire incidents, and complete loss of communication with Fleet Command. How are they doing this? He snarled at his technical staff. The bioweapons, Admiral, his chief engineer replied fearfully. They're using their cybernetic modifications to hack our systems. They know our technology better than we do. Korak's multiple eyes blazed with rage. These escaped experiments were using the very modifications the hegemony had forced upon them to turn the Alliance's own weapons against them. The irony was not lost on him, and it only made him angrier. Focus all fire on the third planet's moon, he ordered. If we can't stop their cyber attacks, we'll destroy their source. The hegemony's remaining operational ships turned their massive guns toward Luna Base. The barrage that followed lit up space like a new sun. Earth's defenders threw everything they had into protecting the moon. But the firepower was overwhelming. That's when the miracle happened. Long-range sensors detected new ships jumping into the Sol system. Dozens at first, then hundreds, then thousands. The Free Worlds Coalition had arrived, bringing fleets from across the galaxy to join Earth's desperate stand. Fleet leader Chin Hua of the liberated Kethmori species opened communications with Admiral Wu Jin. Her people had been enslaved by the hegemony for 3 centuries before finally breaking free. Admiral Park of Earth, she said, her translation carrying deep respect. The Kethmori Republic stands with you. We bring news from across the galaxy. The hegemony's home systems are in open revolt. Your courage has inspired a rebellion that spans 1,000 worlds. The arrival of the coalition fleet changed everything. Suddenly, the hegemony forces found themselves outnumbered and facing enemies who knew their tactics intimately. These were species that had suffered under Alliance rule for generations, and they fought with the fury of the long-oppressed finally striking back. Captain Young-Ho Lee's suicide mission to capture a hegemony command ship had succeeded beyond all expectations. The intelligence gathered from that ship was being transmitted to coalition forces throughout the galaxy, revealing hegemony weaknesses and strategic positions. But Supreme Admiral Korak was not finished. Rather than face defeat and possible capture, he made a desperate decision. His flagship, the massive dreadnought Dominion's Fist, broke from the main fleet and accelerated directly toward Earth. All weapons offline, navigation locked. His bridge crew reported in panic. Sir, we're on a collision course with the planet. Good, Korak snarled. If I cannot have victory, I will have revenge. That planet will burn, and every human on it will die knowing they should have surrendered when they had the chance. The Dominion's Fist was massive enough that its impact would devastate Earth's surface, possibly making the planet uninhabitable. As it accelerated toward the blue world that had dared to defy the hegemony, there seemed to be no way to stop it. That's when Captain Daeho Kim made his choice. All crew, this is the captain, he announced over the EDS Unity's communication system. Abandon ship immediately. That's an order. Sir, what are you doing? His first officer asked in confusion. What humans do, Daeho replied simply. We protect our family. The Unity, Earth's most advanced ship, accelerated to intercept the hegemony flagship. The vessel was a perfect fusion of human determination and Vellani technology, representing everything the two species could accomplish together. Now it would be their final gift to each other. The collision was visible from Earth's surface, a brilliant flash of light in the night sky. Both ships were destroyed instantly, but Earth was saved. On Luna Base, the surviving Vellani cyber warriors finally allowed themselves to rest. Their sacrifice had worked. The hegemony fleet was defeated, scattered, or captured. 1-6 smiled weakly as Dr. Bora checked his vital signs. Did we win? He asked quietly. You won, Bora replied, tears in her eyes. You all won. War Coordinator Hana stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, looking out at the debris field that marked the Battle of Sol. So many had died, both human and Vellani, but their sacrifice had saved not just Earth, but inspired freedom across the galaxy. Elder Kyung-soo had survived the cyber warfare, though he was weaker than ever. As Dr. Donghyun helped him to a chair, the old Villani looked up at the stars with wonder. "For 200 years we have been outcasts," he whispered. "Today we became liberators. The battle was over, but its consequences would reshape the galaxy." The Hegemony Alliance, faced with rebellion on 1,000 worlds and the loss of their primary fleet, began to crumble. Species that had been enslaved for centuries declared their independence. The galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, President Min-ho Choi addressed both his people and the watching galaxy. Standing beside Defense Leader Hana, he spoke words that would be remembered for generations. "Today we learned something important about the universe," he said. "We learned that tyranny, no matter how powerful, cannot stand against the simple belief that everyone deserves freedom, dignity, and a place to call home." He paused, looking at Hana and the other Villani survivors who had given everything to defend their new world. The Villani were exiled by all, but Earth took them in. Today they helped us take in the galaxy. Together we will build something better than what came before. Together we will make sure that no one is ever left without hope again. In a small apartment on Luna Base, Subin Kim hugged her friend Tae-young as they watched the president's speech. Both children had lost people they cared about in the battle, but they had also gained something precious. Proof that friendship could overcome any obstacle. "Will things be different now?" Subin asked. Tae-young, his cybernetic implants dim with exhaustion but his eyes bright with hope, smiled at his human friend. "Everything will be different now. The galaxy has seen what humans and Villani can do together. They've seen that some things are worth fighting for." "What happens next?" Subin wondered. "Next," Tae-young said, looking out at the stars where new ships were arriving daily. Refugees from across the galaxy seeking the sanctuary that Earth had first offered to the Villani. "We help everyone else find their way home too." The Battle of Sol was over, but the real work was just beginning. Earth had become the heart of a new galaxy, one built on the principle that had guided humanity from the beginning. When someone needs help, you help them no matter the cost. The Exiled had found their home, and in doing so, they had helped the galaxy find its freedom.